Do you believe in miracles? We got Fizzle in the house. Fizzle, what's good, man? Fizzle, glad to have you here.
Let's go. This the South Harmon Podcast. Glad you here today. Hit that Patreon link if you here to stay. Dynasty best ball, that's my favorite way. 40 chess trade show. Let's make a trade today or check a AMA. You know Adam at the ATM. Mike always in the building. He gon' stay with him. They gon' start every show off with their own trade. Fantasy's a big ocean. They made their own wave. Make sure you tapping in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesday night, Saturday morning, ain't no better way. Hit that notification bell when the news break. Go subscribe right now, don't get the news late. Destination Devy, that's the team. Dynasty Football, man, that's my favorite thing. I remember Biggie said it was all a dream. Now people watching on their phones and computer screens. Welcome to the team.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another edition of the Dynasty Trade Show. So glad you could join us. Really appreciate you. The website has been popping off. The interaction here on the channel has been incredible. Subscriber numbers are going through the roof. You guys are what makes this all possible. So thank you so much for all the support. If you could do me just one favor, though, just go down, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and whether or not you even like us or not, it helps the channel out so much. And hey, if you want to tell us we're crazy and how bad we are for the trades, go ahead and go down there too. I like reading that. But without further ado, Adam, how you doing, buddy? Another week of Dynasty Trades, man.
Doing well, man. Ready to go. We're recording this on Wednesday, and the big thing isn't really that it's Wednesday. The big thing is that it's National Bourbon Day. Now, the crazy part about it being National Bourbon Day, though, is like I don't really understand that because yesterday was and tomorrow is too. So we're ready to go. National Bourbon Day.
Come on, man. That's like a National Dynasty Football Day, right? Like,
right.
That's every day. That ain't anything new.
Like I had a bunch of people coming up to me. Oh, National Bourbon Day, you having a drink? Same as any other day I'm having a bourbon drink, absolutely. But if you do want your deals featured on the show that we have here, patreon.com/South Harmon, $1 a month gets you in the door. We have 2 new patron trades to grade today, and we're doing 2 shows a week with new patrons every single show, Mike. I'm excited for the trade show, man. Dynasty trades are still happening in June. I won't lie, I've been having a little harder time getting deals done, but let's see what I did, Mike. Let's see what I had to do. Not necessarily had to, but what I did do. Let's talk about this, man. T-Rock and the auto accept trade block of 1 T-Rock. So, Mike, this is a league that I'm actually in of his as a commissioner. Let's just say it's been an adventure in the first year as far as how some shit's gone down in this league. But 12-team Superflex, tiered PPR, start 12, best ball, of course. I told him straight up, I'm not getting in a lineup league. So if you want me to be in it, best ball. 0.5 running back, 1 point receiver, 1.5 tight end premium. Mike, Noah Fant for a 20-25 third. So he put a third on there. I threw him the 25 pick. Curious your thoughts here in general on Noah Fant. I think this one might differ depending on the settings. But where are you at with Noah Fant, man? Once a big love of ours, an Iowa guy. Where are you at?
I mean, it has honestly been disappointing for him, hasn't it? Right? He has.
No doubt, man.
He was Kyle Pitts before Kyle Pitts, at least as a talent profile, size, speed, all the things, right? I'm an Iowa fan, man. He's on this nice canvas back here that you made for me, man. He had a phenomenal. He had a couple phenomenal years for Iowa, considering our offense is usually atrocious, but very good. High draft capital, first round, showed some promise definitely in his rookie year. He's had some moments. We were really high on him going into last year, right? The trade for Seattle kind of signaling, hey, they're giving up on Russ, and they actually wanted to take back Noah Fant. And if you listen to anything we do, like when we talk about, there's a lot of similarities. When you QB hoarder, you move off one. Generally, you don't want the junky stuff coming back in the trade, right? You want, even the NFL teams, right? They don't want the junk back. Like, give me the good stuff that's going to help my team rebuild.
Right. Give me the liquidity, man. Give me picks, real picks.
So, they got Noah Fant back in the deal. We're like, oh, they're going to use him, and then they didn't. And they didn't quite heavily. Now, It doesn't mean, though, with all that being said, like I'm far more down on Noah Fant. I still like him because of the name. I still like him because I want to take a shot on him with that athletic ability. But add him in a best ball league for the cost of a 25 third. Like, I'm not big on giving up my liquidity, but like I think Noah Fant does have the ability, at least, right? The upside. This isn't a 29-year-old dusty ass running back that we haven't seen anything from for a couple years, or hasn't been a difference maker in warp, or hasn't given you those spike weeks. Noah Fant is still young and has that tremendous upside. So at the cost of a 25 third in a best ball league with this type of tight end premium, Adam, I would venture to say if you go to southharmonff.com, sign up for the warp tool and plug it in, like these league settings, it's going to say in the roster construction tab that you should be rostering a shit ton of tight ends, a shit ton. And at a 25 third for that cost, Adam, I'll take all the Noah Fant I can get, all of it. And then if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's going to be hard to buy a tight end with that kind of upside or that kind of athleticism, at least, that kind of draft capital and pedigree for that price anywhere.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I'm pulling some things up just to look, man, because here's what I was going to ask you, Mike. Last year, and you touched on it to begin here, right? That was his fourth season, going to a new team, and
Right.
like they basically deployed a, almost like a 3-man committee tight end.
No, you had like some Colby Parkinson there at the end of the year, which was disgusting.
It's just, it was awful, man. It was awful. And I'll say this, though. All right. Given what we saw out of Noah Fant in his rookie season, the promise in his first 2 years, how he started his third year and then didn't finish that well, and then last year, the crazy part to me, though, is last year was the most disappointing year of his dynasty career, would you say, pretty easily?
Yeah, no question about that.
Okay. And the reason I say that, and I wanted to make sure to mention that, and the reason I think the settings are very crucial, is a couple things. That was like, if we say that's his worst year last year, and we use that, Mike, and we use a tool that you actually created, the spike week and consistency weeks, right? You look at the tight end position, and we talk about how big this is in best ball versus in lineup, right?
Nope.
In best ball, I would like to have the high end tight ends if I can have them, but at the same time, if you don't get them, I'm not reaching to have my first share of Pat Freiermuth or Dallas Goedert, even as much as I like him, right? What I can do in best ball is patch together 3, 4, 5, even 6, if you can find a way to do it, of the top 20 guys, right? Top 24 guys even. Mike, the most disappointing year for Noah Fant in the spike week, consistency week category for last year, he's a 7.66, which puts him inside and right around the top 10.
That's wild, huh?
Right? Like, the reason I wanted to illustrate that is, like, it can't get worse for Noah Fant, honestly, in points per game. I really don't think it can. I'm not saying that because I like the guy, and I would tell you, if you're watching this and you've been watching us for a while, last year, I was very in on Noah Fant. You can go back if you didn't know that. If you want a good laugh, go take a look at my Noah Fant, 10-minute player short we did on the player series. But it honestly can't get worse for Noah Fant. So at a price of a third, which is a full year out, like, that liquidity is going to buy me what in best ball? A tight end spot, like a tight end that I'm hoping to have, maybe.
Right.
Like maybe you get a Gerald Everett. I don't really know what that third is supposed to get you if it's not something like Noah Fant. I mean, that I think is the biggest thing for me is in the process. Like, I understand taking the third for Noah Fant in a lot of formats, but I think in best ball, like, he's kind of criminally cheap given I can just throw him in and not care what weeks it is, but he gave you 5 consistent and 2 spike weeks, even in a really bad situation that he was his worst last year. So, like, I think some things like that in best ball and lineup are very big difference makers and good points to discuss. Because if you told me this is a lineup start 9, right, I'm not saying I wouldn't trade a third, but it doesn't make sense to do that, right? I'm not saying I don't like Noah Fant, but why use a third to make him a guy you're going to really question every week starting, Yeah. I have a little more pause there. In best ball, I don't even care. For a third-round pick, I'm in.
So I just plugged it in, right? Just generic best ball tight end premium, right? Superflex settings. I don't know what league this is for you, but it's easy to look, and I just look at the tight end, which is great about the tool. I can filter just the tight end position, and then I can filter and sort by warp per game, And here's WARP per game at the tight end position. In a best ball, 1.5 tight end premium, Adam. This is WARP per game, mind you. I'm not looking at the games that they didn't play and the injuries, okay? Just WARP per game and the ones they actually did.
Right.
Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry, Hayden Hurst, Noah Fant, K-Dot, and Jelani Woods, Chig Okonkwo, right? Some of them, a lot more hype than what they deserve, right? But Noah Fant is not in bad company with a WARP per game, right? Everybody loves Kyle Pitts. Everybody loves Kyle Pitts. And apparently, judging by all the hate mail we get about Chig, everybody loves Chig too.
Well, I was going to say, like, no.
And Chig costs way more than a third. Way more than a third.
You just made the great point because I was going to say, people would get crazy if you saying you're taking a third for Chig, right?
Yeah, they'd call you dumb.
What's the difference, though? The difference is that Chig he had a good finish to last year, and people are really excited because he's young, right? The reality is, if Chig has the trajectory of Noah Fant, I'd actually be pretty happy with Chig.
Yeah.
I'm not. I know you could. Oh, you hate Chig. If you watch the show enough, you probably think I hate Chig right now. I promise you, I don't actually hate Chig.
Hey man, we were on Chig before it was cool.
I know. Well, that's where I got my shares, was being on it before it was cool, and that's where I also unloaded a lot of my shares. But yeah, I mean, I think, Mike, for the principles in the best ball, starting 12 too. Like I don't think people really can understand if you're going to start 12 guys weekly, right? Randomly, your best players. Like Noah Fant to start 12 in a 1.5 tight end premium, even last year in Seattle, could have very easily flexed in a league like this, right? Yeah. So,
yeah. And the running backs are a little bit more devalued, right? Because it's tiered, so they're only getting a half point. So the tight end actually has a full point bonus on the running back position. Now, not as good as having a full point bonus on the wide receiver position, where you really change how many things pop into your flex. But let's just say it does open up the possibility of a few more tight ends actually making flexes in a week in the best ball. So not bad.
Yeah, I think, and I'll say this, I think from T-Rock's perspective, I might have asked for something a little higher or better. But the thing I know that he's doing here is he's basically, since the league started, he's been accumulating picks in mass quantities. So, like, I think this is one of this where he's just liquidating to gain as much of the picks still in 24 and 25, and then he's going to go make moves in the future.
In fairness to T-Rock too, like, I understand it. If you just look at this trade right here, Adam, I'm like, I wouldn't do it, but I do also understand that it's a lot easier to sell somebody on throwing in a 25 third when the time comes than it would be for some people to buy into Noah Fant. You know
Correct.
What I mean? Because people are going to get in their feelings about the player. You know, if I try to throw you Noah Fant as a toss and you're like, oh, I don't like him, or, you know, I looked at last year, but you come up whatever reasons. You look at a 25 third as a toss and you go, yeah, I can take it. That's liquidity, blah, blah, blah. So I do understand that part. But just on this deal, no way in hell. Like, I'll pay this all day for Noah Fant, to be honest. Fuck my liquidity.
And this is one of those leagues too. The last point from my side, where like I don't have a top tier tight end, right? I'm basically patching together like 4 of these guys. So this type of a trade,
the throw shit at the wall strategy, man.
Yeah. So if you give me one more third in 25 that can be one of those throw shit at the wall guys and actually has some high end upside with athleticism, I'll take it, man. I'll take that here. I totally understand what T-Rock's doing. I probably would have tried to get something a little more, but at the same time, I do think it's smart if you want to liquidate stuff and go really deep into what he's doing of pick hoarding. Sometimes you're going to take a deal you don't necessarily love for a player because Mike's right. The reason this deal went through, Mike, is because he had it on auto accept trade block. No one else was sending it, right? So the league doesn't market or doesn't value him as a third. So that's part of the reason he takes the deal too. All right, let's get into another one. Enough about my trade here. All right, so we got a Gump trade here, Mike. This is a big one. T. Higgins is being acquired for Roshan and a 24 first. A lot up here. 12-team Superflex tiered PPR again. This might be the tiered PPR show. Lineup start 10. So it's half point for running back. Now it's 0.75 for receiver and only 1 for tight end. So the tier differences aren't that massive. We're starting a QB, only 1 running back, which is the reason I put all these on there. 3 receivers, a tight end, 3 flex, and a super flex. Honestly, that the setting there of only having to start 1 running back in a league like this, it means something to me, you know? Like, yeah. I'm curious your thoughts here. Let me start with you, because I think it's pretty clear for me. But what do you think?
Oh, I'm smashing the T. Higgins side all day. Don't kill this. This is
Yeah.
easy. I love Roshan too, man. And 24 first, we can talk about it, liquidity, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest, man. Unless this pick lands in the top 3, top 4, like you're probably still going to want T. Higgins. I like next year's class, but let's say Caleb, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., and if you want to throw Brock Bowers in there, that's fine. Like,
Sure.
If it's a top 4, top 5 pick, all right. Once you get to 4 and 5, though, we're having a conversation. Like, who would you rather have in that class? The guy attached to Joe Burrow who scores a shit ton of fantasy points when he's healthy, and no matter – you can look at the final fantasy points per game on T. Higgins, and they look like trash.
Right.
I've said it for a long time, man. If you look at those 2 games where he played like 3 snaps total in those games, which count against his points per game, and if you were to take those out, it's like an 18, 19 point per game scorer in T. Higgins, depending on your settings, which is elite territory for wide receivers.
For sure.
And he's tied to an awesome offense and an extremely awesome quarterback. So I do love me some T. Higgins. He'd be the conversation if he was in next year's class, right? at the Marvin Harrison. You're like, do you want Marvin Harrison Jr. or do you want T. Higgins? But there's a little stink on him because people look at, well, he screwed me in 2 weeks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What fantasy player really hasn't screwed you over at some point, right? You put them in your lineup, you start, and then they play 2 snaps and they leave, right? Or they're out there as a decoy. So Roshan's great. The 24 first, obviously we like 24 first around here, but you got the 0.75 wide receiver, and the one thing you were talking about, Adam, you only have to start 1 running back. If the wide receivers already have a point per catch bonus over the running backs, even though it's small, but it's 0.25.
Mm-hmm.
It further accentuates the fact that you want as many wide receivers, threshold wide receivers, like Scott Connor talks about all the time, in your flex as humanly possible. Yeah, I'm going to take T. Higgins and I'm going to plug him in and make my wide receiver core real deep. You enjoy your running back. I mean, if everything went right for Roshan, maybe at some point he's worth a first, and then you're looking at 2 random first basically for T. Higgins. And at that point, I think we could have a real conversation about, hey, is it too much to pay for a receiver like T. Higgins, like 2 first in value? That's fair. But as it is right now, Roshan is definitely not worth a first. So this is a first and maybe a second if you want to do that value-wise for T.
Right.
Yeah, I'll pay that.
And I think this is why, like, I'm really excited, Mike, as we continue to grow this channel, as we continue to pump out more content, cool stuff with the website, bringing people on to help kind of put actual data points behind a lot of the theories we have and either prove us right or wrong. And honestly, it's going to sharpen our process and I think help everyone else out there. So there's a lot more details you may start seeing on trades, but also knowing the league. So this, for example, Mike, this league is called AFL. But I pulled up both the warp and the simulator because there's 2 things that you didn't touch on that I really want to. One, he kept his liquidity in a trade like this too, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you tell me, or I'm sorry, not liquidity, flexibility, but same thing. Like
he's keeping his own pick,
right? So he's not mortgaging like, man, if this all goes wrong, I got T. Higgins, which is great, but I'm going to end up, like you said, it could become Marvin Harrison Jr., and you don't have the control now to take it the other way because you don't have that pick, right? Having that flexibility is big. And then, Mike, I ran the league simulator here, and not only did he keep his own, but this is what's currently projected to be, a top 3 team. And you never know. Lineup, 12 team, a couple injuries, maybe he's not a top 3 team, right? But if that pick becomes a 110 and 24 in Roshan Johnson, my goodness, man. Because when I look at this, right? This league for me, given the scoring, looking at the warp, Mike, when I look at this warp here, one thing I for sure want to do is anchor QB. Like this red line in the first 24 is just way higher. And it makes a lot of sense why. Everyone's scoring, think about it, right, is down relative because it's half PPR for running back. It's less than a point.
Right.
Yes,
more
exactly. And the tight end is, it's a 1 point. It's not even anything. They just get 1 point per. So it's basically like non-tight end premium, really. It's just different than the skill players. So, like, I look at this and I'm already thinking, okay, what do I want here? Quarterbacks? And then if I have 6 flex spots, what I really want to try to do is get 5, 6 of the legit receivers to put in there because they get a little better scoring. And then I will take maybe a 1 or 2, hero RB types, and backfill with even guys probably cheaper than Roshan, and maybe they get in and I'll plug them into my lineup, right? I look at a league like this, and this trade makes so much sense to me, in my opinion, for T. Higgins. Because if this is the piece that helps your flex or receiver room get deeper to go have a chance to win a title, I like it. Obviously, if that 24 first becomes, early, we're having a different discussion, but you don't have a crystal ball. I'm operating on today, and when I look at this today, I want that T. Higgins side pretty easy.
That's funny, man. I made my Trade Show debut with a hot take T. Higgins take that I had with Ray, right?
You did,
first
yeah.
one I ever got on.
I remember that.
We're coming full circle, man. Full circle right back here. T. Higgins, let's go. No question about it. Gump knows. Gump knows when he submitted it, he was like, Mike loves T. Higgins. I'm going to put this on there. He's going to talk glowingly about it. He killed it, Gump. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, and I put all those settings on there. This probably, for me in a lot of leagues, is going to be the T. Higgins side.
All right, can you name one? Like if it's a half PPR, point per carry.
I was going to say if we swap this, right? So if it's a half PPR
best ball,
and I was just going to get to that exactly. Best ball. Let's say it's a half PPR format, but the running backs get like a 0.25 points per carry, or it's juiced running back scoring. Because in best ball, we already want less of the T. Higgins and more of the backfill type receivers, right? Have a bunch more of those, right, and have a lot more of the running backs because of, there's just 30, 40 that you really want, truthfully, before the line cuts off. So, I could see this definitely in a best ball league where it was more catered to running back scoring. But in a lineup league like this isn't even close, man. Personally, for me. The only thing that would make it close is if you told me that pick has a much better chance to be mid to early, and then I'm like, all right, well, I can see what you're saying. But at the same time, T. Higgins to me is not going to go away in value. I think there's some people that are really panicked on him, and I'm not one of those people. I like a lot of the stuff that I've seen with him. I need to find
those people, man. I saw somebody the other day would link me a draft board where he was available in the 5th round of a startup.
Mike, I will tell you
what is going on.
I will tell you, man. It has been seeing some of these leagues that we're not in, that a lot of our patrons are showing us and asking questions on.
I get jealous.
Man, I want an alias. I want a sleeper alias so bad. Because Mike,
this close to making an alt account.
Mike, we did the sleeper, or we did the quarterback horde episode, which is going on 2 weeks now, right? Now, I saw a couple, which was like, all right, they were listening to us, and you see these quarterbacks just going crazy early. But then I see this one league that, Jay Jackson's in, called Dynasty Degenerate. So I'm already thinking that kind of sick. Now, we're not the only people that say that, but right. I'm thinking that's something we say on our show. And I'm watching him at the 101 spot. So he gets Mahomes by default. And he ends up for the next 4 picks getting gifted. I mean, he gets, I think it was Bryce Young, Tua, Kyler, and Danny Dimes. And he's asking, at the turn when people start sending him offers, when is the right time to quarterback horde? And I said, right now in a GIF, always. And if the offers aren't right, you just take those quarterbacks. And it's just crazy how I think different markets and people you play with, it shows so much difference in how they value players and where they can go, which makes ADP, reflective of all of it. But anyway, Mike, let's get into this other one here. 12-team Superflex lineup, tiered PPR. This is a 2 tight end league. We're starting 11. So obviously the 2 tight end is going to play big here because Schumer is receiving Garrett Wilson. He's receiving Ball Hawkins, 24 first. He's sending away Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, and a 24 third. So again, 12-team Superflex lineup. We're talking tiered PPR scoring. It's the standard 0.5 running back, 1 point receiver, 1.5 tight end premium. 2 tight ends starting is the big thing, and then we're starting 11.
Yeah, this is so I don't have Schumer's, but I have a league that's very similar to this, right? Tiered PPR, start 2 tight ends, and I believe my league might be start 12.
I'll pull his up here. It's fine, something fine with that. But go ahead.
I just want I just want a generalization to see how valuable warp-wise in a start 2 tight end league like this they are. And I don't know, unless you get like a crazy premium, they're not all that more valuable, right? Travis Kelce's still damn elite. Because Travis Kelce's a damn unicorn. But next guy, I would say Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, right? Those are kind of the next guys.
I have the league pulled up here. So what do you have the warp at? So they might be very similar.
Tight end Tight end number 3, TJ Hawkinson. He's at a 1.43 warp.
Okay, and this league here, which is the 2 tight end I have pulled up, is 1.29 for Mark Andrews at 3, 1.34 TJ Hawkinson. So probably pretty similar and even a little bit lower.
Even a little bit worse. The roster construction on this in a lineup league's telling me I really only need to carry 2.75, which is kind of an odd number. So you'd carry 3.
This one says 2.5, so it's similar, but this is even lower than yours.
The droppable number where you're just going to rotate tight ends with a pulse, right? Anybody who's just got a job. Maybe.
If someone says Noah Fant's worth a third. This is a lineup league where I would be buying Noah Fant for a third, for sure.
So when you look at it, you go, man, 2 tight end league, Mark Andrews should carry some weight. And I do kind of agree. Mark Andrews would carry weight, just not as much that I really – like, he's still up there. The point I'm trying to make is Mark Andrews or Garrett Wilson on the trajectory that they are, I think are very, very similar. Like, they should be very similar in this format, this setting, even with start 2 tight end. Like, I don't think there's a big difference between where a Garrett Wilson would go in a startup draft and a Mark Andrews would go in a startup draft. So if I just cancel those 2 out and I go Mike Evans in a third or a random 24 first, I don't even know where the hell the pick's going to be, but I'll take the 24 first all day long. And this isn't like I hate Mike Evans, but this is where we're at. Like, nobody's sending you a first for Mike Evans anymore, Adam.
It's
nobody.
1,000%. That's the biggest thing I have here. That's the tax. Even if you're saying, all right, like it's worth me getting Andrews over Garrett Wilson, if you're one of those, I understand the scarcity of the 2 tight end. You're like, all right, it's worth it. Fine.
Right.
Even if you want to edge that, I'm with you. I think they're neutral. But if you're like, all right, it's worth more because he's the 2 tight end, fine. And there's a little bit of a premium. But we are so far removed. Like, Mike, it's been probably this time for about 2 or 3 off seasons where it felt like Mike Evans is geriatric. Right? Like, this is now, he's definitely geriatric with no quarterback in town. Kyle Trask, he's 30.
There's people in 2019 being like, you should probably sell Mike Evans before he cliffs, right?
Right, exactly. And you could debate when the cliff has or hasn't happened, but I'll tell you right now, if you're not sure if it has, it has. I can promise you. Like, I'm cool buying him cheaply in best ball on like a crusty type buy. Nowhere near first.
If I could buy Mike Evans for a second in the best ball league,
right?
Easily.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing. To me, is I think now one of the hard parts is going to be right in 2 tight end. You want to then find a way to replace Andrews, but when I look at the warp, see, this is one of the things that I have started to come around more on. Right, when I look at the warp in this league specifically, Mike, if you want to pull it up, it's fine. I'll do it, and it's Schumer 21.
No, I mean, I got one very similar.
Yeah, you're looking at basically the same thing.
Right.
But so the reality is, when you see it just versus the tight ends, like, don't talk about flex for a second. If you just look at it versus the tight ends, the top 5 from last year, you could say maybe it's worth it because, like, there's big difference. But the thing here is, because it's 2 tight end, right? The difference from like tight end 6 all the way to tight end, let's call it 20, we're looking at 0.6 versus 0.29. So, like,
right.
Yeah, you'd rather have tight end 6 than tight end 20. But if you're starting tight end 20 and tight end 15, you're not really giving up that much unless they have Kelsey and Andrews, right? Unless the person that's receiving here, Ball Hawkins, already has, like, now it's Andrews and Kelsey or Andrews and Hawk or something like that. You're not even treading that much water, really. You're treading water at the tight end position, really. You're not giving up that much if you just do it that way. Like, if you were to have an Njoku type and a Noah Fant, honestly, you start those guys every week, and the rest of your rosters, right, in the start 11, you're going to be just fine. So I think Wilson in the 24 first is too much, and I don't know what Schumer has already, but if this ends up being a part of leveraging picks, where this really could become valuable is if now you're talking, I got 2 or 3 first to go get something crazy, right? You get Garrett Wilson and you package those to go get something that you really want in a league like this.
I think one of the craziest things, like, I'm just looking at this general one I have here, and at least for me, this is why I love to use the warp tool. Now, I don't know if it applies to this one, but this is how, when you look at it, or you were to pull this up in the warp, Adam, you're looking at it now, there ain't a single point where the wide receiver graph ever dips below the tight end graph. Right?
It doesn't.
They start about the same with Kelsey and Jefferson, and it doesn't get any better for the tight ends there. They're all wide receivers, a similar wide receiver. Wide receiver 30 is way above tight end 30, right? Wide receiver 15, way above tight end 15. So it doesn't ever get better for the tight ends.
Right, it doesn't. Yeah, and this tool, we go all the way to, like, for example, Keenan Allen was only 0.08 in WARP, and he's still ahead of, it doesn't really matter. Like, outside of, like I said, the top 20 guys, he's ahead of all those tight ends still in WARP, and this is in a 2 tight end league. So I think this one's pretty easily Schumer. I love what he did personally, man.
Yeah.
And I think Garrett Wilson is one of the young guys that could take a big step forward. But the other thing I will say, Corey, to keep in mind is you still have a month and change where Garrett Wilson is the asset that people want in a league like this in tier PPR. So keep that in mind too. If you want to really parlay this thing, I wouldn't hate, seeing what you can net for some Garrett Wilson, man.
Yes. Basically turns into 3 or 4 first.
And that's the type of shit that is the type of shit that makes a trade like that 4D, when you just keep multiplying a trade like that,
right.
It's just endless reaping rewards. All right, Mike. 12-team, 1 quarterback, lineup start 10. Mike, this one's interesting to me, and I'm curious your thoughts here. So, Drake London and Jackson Smith and Jigba, where are you at with the 2 of these assets right now?
I clearly would prefer Drake London. Clearly.
Okay. By the way, let me read the trade real quick before we dive into them. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Drake London is being acquired by Undead Tortoise. I'm not good. Our guy Zach is sending Drake London away, and he's acquiring Jackson Smith and Jigba, and that manager's 24 second. So go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
If I think about it from a production standpoint, this is why I say, like, clearly for me, I want Drake London. Now, however, when I rank them, I'm not only ranking off production, Adam. If I just did production, then I just have redraft ranks. But I also have to factor in Dynasty, and not even my own value. Like, my value does come into play when I do my ranks, but I also think about where the market is and how the market values players, because this is how I'm going to determine. Like, when I do rankings, I'm ranking them based off of how I would draft in a startup. And I'm not always drafting in a startup just to win, or I'm not always drafting in a startup just to trade. It's a mix.
Because even after that, there's market value in trading, right?
Correct. So a lot of times when I'm just drafting in a startup, we talk about it a lot. I'm drafting for value, and then I will trade for need. So when I think about it, would I rather have Drake London or Jackson Smith and Jigba on my team right now? It's Drake London for me. But there's a scenario, which is also why I rank them right next to each other, back to back, in my dynasty ranks, and they're in the same tier. Now, they're at the bottom of this tier, but they're in the same tier, and they're right next to each other. And Adam, what have I always said, man? If I'm going to trade within tiers, you give me anything, I'll swap.
Yeah. And Mike, it's funny because that's kind of what I was going to say, and I had a feeling you'd go there. But I wasn't. I'm not ever 100% sure with you, and I wasn't sure if you were going to fight. That JSN has, the Seattle situation. Maybe he doesn't produce that much.
You sold me on JSN months ago, man. When you talked about the same thing with Drake London, he had not a great rookie year. Okay, let's be honest. I mean, we think about it a lot more rosier than that. It was actually pretty shit. It wasn't Sky Moore shit.
Right.
But it wasn't that much better than Treylon Burks, who everybody hates. But the difference is Drake London started at wide receiver 1, can absorb a okay season,
correct,
an okay rookie season, and then still maintain his dynasty value. And now you see nothing but posts on Twitter like, wheels up for Drake London. He's going to show them all, right? People are still hyped for him. JSN is going to be in that same boat. And that's what you told me a few months ago. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. If you're going to start as high as JSN is going to start, even if you have a 500-yard season with 3 touchdowns, nobody's going to give a shit, because this time next year they're going to be like, now is the time. Tyler Lockett's moving on, or whatever the hell is going on at that point.
Right. And you know what's crazy, though, about a move like this? Because to the point you made, which is, I think, the correct point to make in a trade like this in general, like both of these assets, right? Now, Drake London, he had the value insulation because of the name. But the reality is he also didn't really help his stock last year. Now, there are a lot of things with him. If you start looking into the deeper metrics, right? The targets that he was earning, the percentage of targets, downfield stuff. But there's a lot of things that he did that can give you all right, there's hope here. And like I like London quite a bit. I know you still do too. But here's the thing, right? Right now, both of these guys are young and they're a little more sexy. Like even Drake London coming off of a wide receiver, whatever, 30 type points per game, that's all out the window because it's June. So I think the crazy part is if you're telling me that they're in the same tier, but you're going to get the second and it's like you're going to get an asset that doesn't fit your build or something like that. Like I can see the hesitation. These are the same similar asset, but here's the other part. What we haven't seen is JSN fail. And right now, that actually gives him an edge because Drake London hasn't failed, by the way. But we've seen Drake London not go out there and rip up points per game. Like he wasn't like winning people leagues last year. He was good. He was good in the back half, but he was also not worth playing for weeks last year. The crazy part about that, Mike, is JSN. I had to go to the South Harmon website and pull up the one quarterback ADP because I'm not as familiar with that one because I don't play in any one QB. But in both formats, Mike, Superflex and one quarterback, JSN's going ahead of Drake London in startups.
Duh.
Wow. So now here's the thing, right? In generalities, if it's the same tier,
I would have guessed that one.
Same tier, similar ages, same position. Like I'm just going to net the plus, right? But the crazy part is like JSN, I think might even get you higher up the board if you decided you wanted to trade up.
Right. You wanted to
and
make
you're
a
netting
run
the
at
second
Jefferson
still.
or Chase, right?
Exactly. Like I think there are people that are willing to buy into the JSN stuff right now. And I don't know that it's even smart, but in one quarterback, Mike, I think the reason I mentioned that is like if I was going to tier up at receiver, it's in a one quarterback league because the picks are a little different. I do want to have all those high end assets that are not the quarterbacks in a one quarterback league. So while you could say on one side, well, that's second in one quarterback, whatever, but it's still an asset, and I think I still am at a better chance to leverage into an elite, already secured elite asset with a JSN on my team. So I'm netting that second, and I'm taking JSN. You could ride him out if you have to, but I think right now is another great point to see, okay, now I have the sexy asset. What can I do with this?
I'm going to say something we don't say a lot. Good job, Zach. Good job, Zach.
Yeah, the name doesn't fit on this specific trade, but that's,
It's a sleeper name, man.
It happens every now and again.
He's lulling them in, man. That's what he does. The I'm not good.
All those trades that Zach misses on and proves that I'm not good, it's all just to get the trades like this,
Yes.
It's a process. It's he's thinking 4D. All right, let's get into another one. Enough glowing about Zach. All right, Mike, I'll tell you what, man. It's almost like polar opposites or a schizophrenic 7 goat rings that we have here. Like I don't know which one's showing up, right? Like it's J.R. Smith. Like is he going to come out and just be cooking, give you 30-40, or is he going to come out and take the ball to half court when you're tied at the end of the finals? You don't know what you're going to get with 7 goat rings. 7 goat rings is acquiring Amari Cooper, Juju, Evan Hall, and Michael Mayer. He's sending to Raiders Life Rodriguez, Mike Gesicki, A.J. Brown, and a 2024 second. Here's the thing that really needs to be said, though, Mike. 10-team Superflex league. It's a PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. It is lineup, but it's start 11 on offense with 4 IDP. When I look at this, especially knowing that it's 10-team, I'm already leaning like I want the studs, right? And while we have talked about Amari Cooper, and that's part of the reason he made the deal, he said before we even put this on the show, oh, man, I'm looking back at this, and I wish I could have this one back. Because, yeah, I like Amari Cooper a lot, but that's when I don't have to send away A.J. Brown in the, acquisition of Amari Cooper. In a 10-team league, like I know you and I are different on Juju, but like in 10-team lineup, I really don't have that much interest in Juju, to be honest with you, man. Like I'm good. Michael Mayer is he's fine, but like you want to sell now more than anything. You don't want to buy now because there's probably a window next year where he treads water or loses value. So, and Evan Hall's whatever. So like when I look at this and knowing it's 10-team, like you're already giving this guy his pick back, which is, I don't know why that's happening in 24. He's getting A.J. Brown too. And then like, whatever about Gesicki. I don't care about him or Rodriguez. this is where I think you have to know your league and the settings, and why it's so important that we talk about all these different trades, because there's a scenario where I'd take the other side if it's like a deep best ball league, and that's it. And that is it, man. Like, and I don't even know if I would do it there. But in a 10-team lineup league, I'm definitely not doing this at all.
Yeah. I want to say fantastic job. Great job. One of the better constructed trades I have seen out of Raiders' life.
in all of my life, this is the best trade that Raiders' life has made, for sure.
Right. Yeah, this is pretty easy, man. I love Cooper. You know me. I'm out here pounding the table for Juju, too. Michael Mayer, like you said, he's fine. Would I rather have Mayer or Gesicki? Definitely Mayer. No question about it. Evan Hull, Chris Rodriguez, you could just kind of cancel those two out. Both backup running backs that we hope have a role. I mean, they're in the same tier of just hopefully they do something where I get some use out of them.
Right.
This is, as much as I love Coop and as much as I love Juju, you hit the point about Juju is in a 10-team lineup league. Like, how many times am I going to start him and feel real good about it, right? He's really got to produce, and I don't think that's probably in the cards, but I do like Juju. I love Amari Cooper, man, but no way in hell. Like Cooper, Juju, Evan Hull, Mayer, I wouldn't do in a 10-team lineup league with these settings. Adam.
The whole top for AJ Brown, right?
The whole top.
That was where I was going next. See, this is why the mind meld is so real at times. Why we started this venture, Mike. 10-team. That's what is actually gross about this. Like, we've seen Goat Rings lose, right? I mean, he's submitted some trades where he's lost,
right?
But this one is the worst that I've seen, because here's the thing, right? If you tell me that right now I would rather have AJ Brown in this format than the entire top, that means that getting your 24-second back is free.
Getting Gesicki, who you
and Gesicki's probably in this format. Like, I'd rather find a way to move him, but it's still an asset that I can probably try to package into something else and move. So, like, the fact that you're getting free stuff with acquiring AJ Brown, and in this economy, it's all about the studs because it's going to tighten, the scoring circle because there's only 10 teams. Oh man, Goat Rings. You already know you lost, so I don't feel bad even at all leaning into it a little more. And I don't think this was the worst I've ever done, but
like I don't listen. The tear down to Amari Cooper, even in a 10-team lineup league, isn't the most egregious because you're going to start Amari Cooper, right?
Sure.
You're going to start him. You're going to start. But
you're so pigeonholed because his market is nowhere. So, like, yes, you can start him.
That's fine. I'm completely fine doing it. Like, that's a risky move I do. But when I'm also telling the other person, I'm not taking your junk back.
Right. Correct.
And I ain't giving you shit on top.
Right.
Period.
Like, if you told me we strip the deal down, let's strip the deal down and you get a legitimate higher end asset with Cooper, cool. I'm with you there. If you're going to make me take on this pigeonholed asset, I basically got to put into my lineup.
Right.
I'm not going to have the market tradability of AJ Brown. Like, you're going to have to send me in a 10-team league. It's got to be a high plus, though, a very high plus.
I need a first, at least.
At minimum.
Right.
Minimum. And then I'm even thinking, like, is it worth it?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, Goat Rings. Love you, buddy. But, well, I told Goat Rings, I said, listen, man, the good thing about a trade like this, because there's a lot of really bad things about a trade like that, the good things is they see a deal like that go through, and it's like, all right, maybe I do want to trade with Goat Rings again, So try to get it back later. But that one's an L. All right, Mike, we got to talk about this one. 12-team Superflex, lineup start 10. Koopa's not on this trade, but Koopa made the same trade, and also, like, there was a coercion, like, hey, between him and Cody on, like, doing this. So, Mike, let's talk about this. 12-team Superflex lineup start 10. Xbox is acquiring Cody's 2024 third plus the 7 fab in season for Lenny Fournette, Uncle Lenny. One of your, pound the tables last year. But where are you at now?
What'd you end that with? Last year.
I specifically worded it with last year in there. That's why I said, where are you at now? Talk to me, man.
Where we're at now is he doesn't have a team. He doesn't have a role. Can he have one? Sure. Maybe. The problem, I've seen these deals go down, man. I did one with Koopa, right? Not for Lenny, but for Zeke. And I think this all stemmed from Cody put a poll on Twitter. Would you rather Lenny or a 24 third? Or would you rather Zeke or a 24 third? And these deals started popping off. Listen, I get it from Cody's side. I understand buying these guys, right? Could they be worth a second if they sign with a team and have a role? Yeah.
Sure. Maybe.
They ever gonna be worth a first? Hell no. No chance in hell. The second, probably sketchy. Adam, like, if Leonard Fournette signs a backup role, a depth role, and he actually does something, like say you get a running back injury somewhere, right? You get a Houston, Damian Pierce goes down. Instead of using the young guys, they're like, we're going to bring in Leonard Fournette. He's getting the carries. How much more than a third is he going to be worth at that time when he's signed? He's coming in to fill it.
Well, I guess that's actually
two thirds. Maybe he's worth 2/3.
That's the problem I was kind of having too. And like, all right, so I think league format's kind of a thing to talk about here, because if you're telling me like it's a not standard league like this one is being said as, where it's like it's very juiced to running back, and we're talking like best ball. All right, maybe. But here's the thing. I don't see even in almost any format where Lenny signs somewhere, and let's call it what it is. There's probably going to be a handful of running back injuries to where, they call a guy off the couch, where, all right, Lenny, we want your services. Like, you're going to have a chance here to take, even 12, 15 touches a game, let's say.
Right.
There's a couple things here on the process point and then on the player side I want to mention with this one specifically. The process side is, okay, to your point, where does he go? Like, I don't see a scenario where he ever moves for a second next year, unless it's in a fish type league, right? Like someone's paying it. Some fish is paying. I'm saying I don't even see that though. My point is I don't see that.
No, that is hard, right? We had this discussion. Jamal Williams was smashing it out of the park last year, wasn't he? Wasn't he smashing it? And I'm thinking, I'm not even in a lineup league, but in a best ball league where I don't even have to push the button on Jamal Williams. I just get some depth who's might score 2-3 touchdowns on a given week, right? And have an immense spike. Jamal Williams was smashing it on the park. Melo can be the attestment that he had Jamal Williams on the block as a rebuilder, where he was like, I will take any third. And contenders are like, nah, I'm good, man. Like, I'm good. Finally, just out of desperation, I'm looking at it going like, all right, Melo, I'll send you my third for Jamal Williams. And that's a guy who was smashing and producing, but he was just so gross and crusty, nobody wanted him in a best ball league. Like, period. Right? So when you say, I know it sounds hot takey, but when you say, like, I don't know if he's ever going to be worth a second, I think you're probably onto something, man.
Well,
you're onto something.
The reason I say that is, and the reason I illustrated is not factual, is because there's probably some fish type leagues, or you don't even have to be a league. It could be one fish owner that sends a second because it's the name and he lands somewhere and they need a running back. One-off deals are going to happen on any player, anywhere, any format. But what I'm talking about is more your standard process, and the reason I say that is, okay, yeah, maybe it's a couple of thirds. But then let's talk about this real quick. And this is one thing I think, and maybe I'll end up being completely off base here, but like, this is a guy particularly. Now, I think our edges really are one here in process, but there are going to always be times where I talk players in particulars. This is a guy that has, in the prime of his career, come in the offseason out of shape as a mug.
Right.
Fat Uncle Lenny, right? Like, we're talking about now a guy that
coming off a Super Bowl.
Right.
Coming off a Super Bowl.
Right. So he played as late into the year as possible as you could play, right? And then the offseason as short as it could be. And he came in like, yeah, I'm good, like, just fat, cocky, don't care, right?
With Tom Brady.
With Tom Brady probably cracking the whip.
The biggest
and advocating for Leonard Fournette, right?
Right.
Now you're talking about, we're going to go through all of, OTAs, mini camps, preseason, and he may not be signed. Like, even if that call comes, all right, Lenny, let's go. Like, what kind of huffing and puffing is he going to be doing in that first game, man? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm good on this Lenny thing, man. Y'all got it. I understand the process on, you think like, all right, I'm going to get this name now. He won't cost a third. He's going to cost more than a third when he lands. Maybe, but what is the difference that you're gaining, right? Is right now by doing this? to where, like, what if it doesn't actually happen? Like, what if Lenny by week like 7 is still sitting on a couch? He's also a little goofy too. Like, it's not like this guy has not come without.
I love.
I love the guy too, but I'm saying, like, if you're a team that doesn't have a reason to bring him in without the risk that he poses, why do it?
So the last point that I'll make, you're doing this move now in June, Adam. You're pushing your third in, one of them, and hopefully you got a bunch. But man, if I look at it and I go like running backs who are worth a third that could give me some production in season. The other problem I have, not only the June thing, Adam, but I mean, I probably start at like RB 37-ish for me in my dynasty ranks, and I can go down to like RB 65 and go, at some point I could see one of these dudes being worth a third or producing where I'm going to try to buy a spot start with that third, right? And try to get some production that I'm hoping I get out of Leonard Fournette, who doesn't have a team right now. The thing is, I got like 30 running backs in my mind going like, oh yeah, I got plenty of options to send a third when I need it or I want to get that production on my team. And I'll have all kinds of information at that time. Like, I'll have all kinds of facts. I feel much better about my purchase because, that player I know has a role and is on a team at that time.
Well, that I think is the biggest and final point I'll make here, right? All the Lenny jokes aside and all that stuff, right? You're buying it now with the idea of I'm going to have a, let's call it a more veteran seasoned running back that has the ability to outproduce a third in warp for sure. Okay, like I understand that process, but here's what my problem is. What Mike just said, but a little more like defined for me is, all right, so let's say that is where you win the edge on. Like, let's say you make that bet right now in June and it pays off for you. So you net, let's say, even a positive third-round pick. Let's say if you cash this out completely. Like, let's say he ends up landing in a situation where there is an injury and he becomes the lead back. He's probably not going to be a feature back ever, but let's call it the lead back. He's going to get 60% of snaps, and he's worth having on this. Okay? But here's the thing that I don't understand. If that doesn't hit, like, obviously you burn a third, who cares, right? You burn $7 in fab, fine. But what if you have that pick back? And you say, now it's week 8, and I want to buy Jaylen Warren, who everyone loves. Or you want to buy, Jerome Ford because Nick Chubb is dealing with a 4-week injury, right? Like, I think you might not have to attach all that much more to go get what you know at that point is the asset that you want. So I think it's just, I don't see the risk and the reward being a big enough payoff for me to do it right now, I guess is the way I'm trying to phrase that most concisely.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to take it up a little bit, I don't know if anybody have issue with it, but Dalvin Cook doesn't have a team right now, right? Got cut. We still think Dalvin Cook's good, and he's going to sign somewhere and play. But, Adam, if I told you the price was a first right now to buy Dalvin Cook, are you buying Dalvin Cook for a first? No. You weren't buying Dalvin Cook for a first when he was playing.
Nowhere. I'm not buying it. Right.
And what is one of the reasons? The fact that you go, how many running backs could I buy for a first right now? I don't know, 20. And I know more about their situation. Or I'll know more come August. I'll know more come September. So.
For a first, damn near all of them. Not all of them, but like a lot of them.
A lot of them, right? A lot of them. Not the elite ones, but that next tier, it's like, yeah pretty much everybody.
Once they're decided that if you have to think about, is this guy worth a first? A lot of times you can buy him for a first.
Yeah, I get you.
Anyway, I think we already kind of talked that deal way more than necessary.
This one's kind of spicy, ain't it?
So, we got 2 new patrons here to finish this trade show off, Mike. A couple spicy ones, all right? 12-team Superflex PPR lineup start 10, all right? So, Mike, Soggy Danger is the new patron, acquiring Kyler Murray and sending to Shock ENT Kyle Pitts, Mike. I'll get into the particulars on the deal that he kind of left in the Discord, but I'm kind of curious. Just in a vacuum, let's talk about like where you're at first and foremost on this when you just see it 1-for-1. 12-team Superflex PPR lineup start 10 before we talk the intricacies.
You don't tell me any tight end premium as much as like I love Kyle Pitts. I'm going to go back to my Superflex roots, and I would say I'd rather have Kyler over Kyle Pitts. I'd rather have the quarterback. not that Kyle Pitts is bad. I still love Kyle Pitts, and I still want him everywhere. And we talk about in no tight end premium leagues, it almost feels like the elite tight ends are even more of an advantage, which I really do like. But
it is a 0.5 tight end premium, by the way. So sorry about that.
Well, that's fine. Even then, like I think it's closer, but at the core, man, it's still a super flex league, and you pretty much sell your soul to the devil to get yourself into that top 12 quarterbacks, which I still think Kyler is in. Personally, he's barely hanging on. A lot of people hate him.
I've seen his ADP dropping tremendously, way more than I thought it would.
It has, but I still love Kyler, and like I'm willing to buy the discount and ride that out because I've seen him be elite and I've seen him be great. Some of the other ancillary stuff, like people have this thing like, oh, they're taking Caleb Williams and they're going to trade Kyler. I'm here to tell you it's like a $89 or $90 million cap hit if they get rid of Kyler Murray, which to me lens goes, I don't think that's going to happen. I know we've seen some big cap hits, but they're in the 30 or 40 million. This would smash the record by twice.
Because now basically there, right, what it does is if you were to absorb it, or even a big portion of it, like if you find a way to trade them and they take on some of it,
right,
dude, what that does is it basically already immediately takes away that edge you have in playing a rookie quarterback that you have all that extra money to spend, right? Like that cap hit becomes kind of, it's like on a rebuild if you're taking on Leonard Fournette, right? It's like it's antithetical to what you're trying to do, you know?
I will say I probably this is close, man. And ADP wise, I would say there's probably a lot of people who will take Kyle Pitts before Kyler Murray. Me, I just trust the quarterback. And if I'm going to rank Kyler in the top 12, regardless kind of what people are doing as ADP, it's a super flex league. Like I'm still going to push that leverage. So I think I'd rather have Kyler here over Kyle Pitts, but it's definitely not a slam dunk. Adam,
good.
What says you?
Good. Well, the reason I wanted to do that is because I think if you're watching it this far, like we've gotten a lot of comments that are like, hey, get through more trades, get them quicker. And I understand that. But I think part of the reason we want to do it the way we're doing it, and I want to also give you context as to why we're doing it this way, is in a vacuum right now when I look at this trade. Now, I will admit, I know Kyler's ADP is trending downward.
Yes.
And it may be very different than this in a week or two. But currently, as it sits, the ADP that's updated almost all the time here on our South Harmon website, southharmonff.com/ADP. You can get live ADP tracking of all real money drafts. 309 and 310, Mike, is Kyle Pitts and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has the edge by one pick. That's an ADP.
One, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, that's the reason I think that's actually crazy, and I don't know if this is how it played out, but so you're telling me on the surface, this is a very fair and close deal in a vacuum, right? Like, this is, I think, something, and I was really excited to see this from a new patron, and then the scenarios worked out this way, because this is, I think, where you can utilize all the paid tools that we have, all of our stuff in the Discord. Even if you don't do any of that, you just watch this show and listen to what we're talking about and think about how you can apply it to your league, then utilizing a close trade and how to figure it with your settings and your team build, right, and what you have going on. So the reason I wanted to make all that mention is because, so Mike, this is the settings are all there, but he already has Burrow, Lamar, and Pickett, and then at tight end he still has Hawk, Juwan Johnson, and Chig Okonkwo. So
he's not killed that tight end position at all.
You don't go out of the top 5 even at tight end, right? You still can keep TJ Hawkinson, and you're picking up Kyler.
He's got a little QE hoard going on,
which gives you now, right, 2 high-end ones, Pickett at quarterback 4, and Kyler, who's depressed in value, but you could afford, because Pickett's your quarterback 4, they can go to 3, you can hold on to him until he does build back some value, right?
Right.
And you know in this format, like it's really not that smart in a format like this where it's a 0.5 tight end premium. Sorry, I meant to type that in. I did this kind of a little more hurriedly today.
That's fine.
But in a 0.5 tight end premium, it doesn't make a ton of sense to like have 4, 5, 6. If you listen to Scott Connor's one of his most recent podcasts, there's no reason to hoard and have like 7 tight ends in a format like this, right? So
no, in those formats, really, like if you look at Koopa's roster construction on no tight end premium, like if that was the case, you barely even need to roster one. It's like comes out to like 0.75 generically.
And in
like
lineup leagues that are two tight ends, sometimes the warp will tell you not even to roster 3 of them. Now that's baking in because of the droppable. You're going to basically flip in and out guys, but the point is you still keep your tight end. You keep your roster construction completely intact, but now you leverage Kyler into an already very, very good quarterback room. You also have what? You have much better quarterback insurance, right? You don't have to rely on Kenny Pickett if either one of those guys get hurt now, especially in the back half of the playoffs.
You got the best QB insurance, don't you?
I mean,
you got another elite potential guy you can plug in at any time.
And you didn't mess with any of your picks. You didn't mess with anything, right?
You got a Superflex quarterback.
This is crazy when you start talking about the edges.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it cost you one player to go get a Superflex.
You netted from tight end. Because if you think about it, if you just took the names away, right? And this is one thing I want to do. If you just went from tight end to quarterback, like that's a win. Like that I think is actually utilizing. I don't know if this is how Dave Danger did it, but I do know he's, new in the Patron. He dropped this trade in here. And when I'm thinking about a lot of stuff we talk about and him sign, like I'm looking at this and seeing like this is how you utilize all the information we actually talk about in depth and detail for your league. This is huge, man. I love seeing this out of a new patron. I really, really do. I really do, because it's a close in ADP, right? Like it makes sense on ADP values, but when you know the deeper stuff, my goodness, I want his side, man. I really do. I want his side by a lot.
Ooh, you went a lot. What a lot.
And I like Pitts too. You see the wing back there, but when I know what he's doing, I'm in. All right. Another new patron. So he is acquiring here Brandon Ayuk and Michael Pittman. He's sending away Christian Watson, Cedric Tillman, a 25 second and a 25 third. So, Mike, this is a 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium lineup start 10. Can I tell you how? Well, I'll tell you one thing that's crazy about this. Mike, you and I have been these Brandon Ayuk truther stands, Jon Snow in it it feels like a while.
Right.
Since there was the early cool crowd, shout out to Mike Lou. He got us way in early, But since then, when he got in the shenanigan doghouse, like Ayuk's been kind of this guy that's been floating way down in values. But what I was like not really paying enough attention, and there's a ton of buzz on Brandon Ayuk everywhere. He's like quarterback or wide receiver 19 or 20 in Keep Trade Cut now. Like he's had a lot of buzz and movement on him. So that one actually would have made sense like 2 months ago, but now it's like, all right, Ayuk and Watson are probably even if you include the youth stuff. So then Tillman, a second and a third that are 2 years out for Pittman is just stupid in a lineup league, man.
I will say this. Christian Watson. He's been an interesting one for me because I have Derek Brown of Fantasy Pros. Loves Christian Watson.
Mm-hmm.
A guy I really respect in Cody Carpentier.
Loves Christian Watson. Yeah.
Loves Christian Watson, man. Go and this is I plug good people. Go check out my guys, Cody Carpentier and Matty Kiwoom. They have a Patreon, patreon.com. I think it's /the executives. Just look up the executives.
The executives, man.
Go check those guys out. I love good people. Those are two dope people. All right, so Cody loves Christian Watson. D-Bro loves Christian Watson. In return, like listening to him, I'm not a big Christian Watson guy, but I want to move him up. Like, I see your points. I understand. I should move him up. Adam, you say in the Dynasty community, like I think either Watson and Ayuk or Watson and Pittman, pick one of these guys. I think they're very similar and they should cancel out in a value sense for the overall Dynasty community. Now, to be completely honest with you, where I'm at right now, I favor Ayuk or Pittman over Christian Watson. So either one of those that he got on the other side, when I look at this trade, I go, damn, that's a win. That's a win.
Correct. Now, but in market, though, you could say, at least in market there, you could cancel out one of the two, right? So you could basically cross off Watson for you pick your flavor of Pittman or Ayuk. But then that's where it becomes a big problem. And where you're even saying you're winning on that side. Go ahead.
The lineup start 10 part. The lineup start 10. Cedric Tillman means fuck all to me. fuck all to me. Like
he's a bad bet.
Deal.
He's a bad bet outside of the fact that he's attached to Watson. That's the only thing that, like, for me that makes me want to bet on him. And in lineups are tender, I don't even want to do it there.
I will throw every Cedric Tillman type and 25 third I have. If the only thing I need to do is just add one single second that's 2 years out to go get a Brandon Ayuk or Michael Pittman type. And that list is pretty long. That is DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, QJ, Terry McLaurin, Treylon, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Jordan Addison. Like, name one of those receivers that I have in the same tier. I will give you a 25 second and as many Cedric Tillmans and 25 thirds, 24 thirds, 26 thirds, any thirds I have, I will just package them all together and let me get one of these wide receivers in a lineup league. Now, best ball would be a different story. That's probably overkill. But even in a best ball league, Adam, I will pay this for Brandon Ayuk and Michael Pittman pretty easily because, like you said, the basis of the deal is Christian Watson, pick one of them, cancel them out. The other one is Cedric Tillman, a second, a third for the other receiver, which I have in a very similar range. All three of these elite receivers at the top are in a very similar range. So this is pretty easy. It's kind of like that first Zach deal with London for JSN, right? If I'm going to trade within the same tiers, I'll just take the extra on top of it. Well, the problem is, the one guy got two pieces in the same tier and the other guy got one and then a bunch of junk.
And if I think about this in a logical, like if I was saying Langdon M, which, by the way, Langdon M, if you're watching this or you see this later, don't know you. This is no slight to you. I'm actually trying to talk to you as if I was this manager. I think something that can be an error, right? So what I'm seeing and where I think this could make sense or where it could get accepted, let me say not make sense, how it could for the other manager, owner, where they make it make sense in their head and accept it is, sometimes, especially this time of year, there is a very big push on youth, right? In this, like, I'm rebuilding, right? So you basically reset age. Because right now, for example, Mike, Christian Watson is a couple spots ahead of Ayuk, who has been surging, right? So you have wide receiver 20 to wide receiver 22, but you get to reset in age. So, like, if you're rebuilding, you could say, I can see doing that. And then you're saying, all right, well, same idea. Like, I basically get off of Pittman for Tillman, who's a rookie, and then 25 second, 25 third liquidity. But here's the thing. In this format, that is a terrible plan because Tillman is already like, he's going to have an extreme uphill battle from roster clogger like territory, reality.
Right. He's
off
a
the
roster
rip.
clogger at this point, yes.
And then you're basically letting Pittman go at that point for a second, which is not next year's draft, which is basically only a year. It's a full year from now, really, like when you think about it. Another full year from that, and then that third in 25. And they're both coming from the manager who you're just basically letting get Pittman for almost free. So it's just could it end up being where Langdon M wins this trade down the road? Sure. If you look at this trade in 2025 and you tell me either what they drafted or what they traded the pieces for, yes, it could be. But right now, what I know about everything today, there's no chance in the world I would take that side. It's not even remotely close for me, being honest.
Hey, see that GIF, man? Pass.
Pass. I like the way his kind of mouth moves in it, like pass. Just I'm good.
Easily. These are good, man. These are good deals. I like them.
I was gonna say great deals. National Bourbon Day is going very well. I poured this all the way full, and we're almost all the way gone.
Listen, I've been working nights, so my schedule's flipped around. It's like 9 in the morning. I'm already drinking vodka. It's a great time.
Mike, let's just put it like this. Mike's out here, doing 2 trade shows a week, getting, heat exhaustion in the ER. His circadian rhythm. He's basically a night creature at this point. And here he is, still giving you all the inside stuff. That's what I love about Iowa, Michael, man. He is not a quitter. He is not a quitter at any means. Mike, honestly, I thought it was a really good trade show. I love having new patrons come in and show stuff. One, a little more, elementary, like, yeah, this is easy. One, a little more nuanced, and both sides, both wins, man. I love seeing it. I think there was only one deal where a patron that we said didn't win, and it's because it was a deal with 2 patrons, right? Other than that, we liked all the patrons. Oh, no, goat rings, sorry. 7 goat rings, man. Oh.
We had 5 goat rings make an appearance.
We are going to have to maybe reassess the number of goat rings that Goat Rings has in his because we actually can do that, Mike, in Discord, maybe just until he proves it again, like it's 5 or 4 or 6.
Right, maybe give him a little motivation. We'll just change his
you need to get back
there.
to 7. Like, we want to see those old deals where you just gouge somebody.
We'll keep it a tally.
I love that, man. Love that.
Every time he makes the trade show with a good deal, we add a ring.
Listen, we're happy to get you. We're happy to get you back to 7.
Take one away.
But right now, I mean, that was almost -2. Like, that one was rough. Maybe the worst trade I've seen from 7 Goat Rings. I know you're better than that. I'm holding you to a higher standard. Damn it, you know.
Yeah, we need to help him out. It'd be great if he had this place where like patreon.com/South Harmon, where you had a Discord, you could ask people. Like, hey, what do you guys think about this?
That's what I'm saying, because the Savage tier, see, 7 Goat Rings, this is the thing you have to understand. The Savage tier sold out, right? I got people literally. I have a waiting list right now, Mike, of they want to get into the Savage tier to have access to us all the time. You have it. And then I got to come out here and parade this trade that you did in the Savage tier. And I'm like, I don't want affiliation with this. I don't want to be affiliated with this right now. All right, 7 Goat Rings, you know it's all love, buddy. We appreciate everybody tapping in and watching the Dynasty Trade Show with us. We're loving to have fun out here. 7 Goat Rings, get it better for next week, all right? You know we have to have you on at least one of the 2 shows. We do have 2 Dynasty Trade Shows. Saturday morning, you're watching this. Wednesday, make sure you're tapping into our Wednesday night trade shows at 9:30 on Wednesday. Even if you don't do the premiere, make sure you're going to watch it later on. More deals coming from patrons. And if you do want your deals featured on the show, patreon.com/South Harmon. $1 a month gets you in the door. Savage is sold out. You know, people like 7 Goat Rings just, keeping it sold out and still making bad deals. But maybe eventually we'll up the memberships for Savage. But we can't keep up with team reviews. It's just, I don't see how we up it right now. I just don't see how we do it, man.
That's hard. But we appreciate everybody tapping in. Thank you. Been a great trade show, Adam. I had a blast on this one, even if it is 9 a.m. vodka. So let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Last thing I will ask, if you could, go down, hit the like and subscribe, comment, let us know. Even if you guys talk way too much, you ruin this because you could just bang 30 of these trades out instead you talk about 8. Tell us that. It's okay. We just want to hear from you. But other than that, we will see you back here, same time, same place, next week for the 4D Chess Dynasty Trade Show. We're out of this thing. Peace.